Pandemic era, trapped in my home because I was waiting for something to happen. I played Course Bar due to me wanting to watch a Thafnine video on the game franchise's rise and fall. I was interested in the lore of the first game and the first game alone, so I played it, with a guide of course. Time is finite, and I already knew that I would be stuck in some places in game without the motivation to get myself out of them. I was playing for the sake of the narrative. I know that the series' narrative only goes downhill from this point, so I might as well enjoy Corpse Party in a vacuum. I was entranced by how morbid the plot of Corpse Party was. It certainly lived up to its name. I feel like the fact that I played it in high school as the events of Course Party happened to be a cast of high schoolers with the exception of two add to the experience. The characters' fearful interactions with the world of Heavenly Host Elementary School felt real. Their pain and suffering made them human. Fighting for survival despite all the messed up things they saw was inspiring. Any normal person would have given up, myself included, at the demoralizing amount of corpses that belonged to people around my age trying and failing to find ways out of there. It was the claustrophobic feeling I got while playing Corpse Party felt one of a kind to me. I wasn't afraid of cheap jump scares or anything, but rather for the lives of the main cast who I'd see met their demises again and again if it made the wrong decisions. That only made me want to persevere more, though. To see them succeed, prosper, and unravel the mystery of what had happened to make Heavenly Host such a lethal environment that fails to comply with science. The basic humanity I felt amidst all the horrors made me fond of Corpse Party, and I've been searching for media that captures how it made me feel ever since. I'll never participate in any rituals I find on the internet. I've already learned my lesson from Charlie Charlie and Bloody Mary. The characters themselves feel a bit tropey, but I don't mind that for the most part. It made them feel more familiar as archetypes I grew up experiencing. For example, there's Satoshi Mochida. He's as generic as protagonists get, and is incredibly boring as a result. Oh, and he has a little sister in elementary school who gets sent to Heavenly Host with him. That's the most interesting part about him, having to protect his little sister from the horrors that Heavenly Host while also protecting himself. Also really popular with women for some odd reason. Women other than me. One such woman is Naomi Nakashima, a really interesting character. She has actual personality and feels like a teen girl in turmoil. Just so happens to have the worst taste in boys, though. Naomi also has that classic stereotypical gay best friend who may or may not have a crush on her, Seiko Shinohara. She has a bubbly personality, is a great best friend when she isn't showing provocative images of herself and acting perverted towards Naomi. It doesn't sit right with me how Seiko could act in such a depraved way. I know it's fictional fan service, but these are characters that are underage teenagers. And that's the main issue I have with Corpse Party, the sexualization of some of the characters. I mean, I'm kind of guilty of this too, because I sexualize myself sometimes, but still, it's kind of gross. It is gross, actually. 100% gross. Lots of shonen anime suffer from the same vice, so I can't say I'm not familiar with it from a rather young age. It's still as annoying as it used to be when the sexualized characters are minors, though. That's why Misoto is the only valid option in Evangelion for like fan service. Sorry, I got political. Back in Moshida, though, do you know who's the Bearman? Yoshiki Kishinuma, aka the Goat. He's portrayed as a delinquent with a heart of gold. Despite his bluntness, he cares about the people around him and protects them with his physical strength. He also has troubles finding passion in his life. He ends up getting in a whole bunch of trouble at school due to his apathetic lack of faith in his academic abilities and future. However, somebody stood up to him against his teacher that was scolding him and motivated him to try his best to complete high school. Ayumi Shinozaki, the namesake of this vignette. It's an understatement to say that I relate to her. From her being the intelligent class rep to her keeping a facade of confidence around her classmates until the events of Heavenly Host when she's indubitably neurotic. Esoteric interests supplemented by her internet usage make Ayumi insecure and expressing herself to the point of emotional alienation to her selfish actions at times when she means well to her friends. I never felt so seen in the video game before. Her character captured both the positives and negatives of part of my personality, and her symbiotic relationship with Yoshiki goes, by the way. They defend each other with their lives in the events of Course Party. It's beautiful how much they compensate for each other. I think the most tragic part of their friendship is how Yoshiki has a gigantic crush on Ayumi, but Ayumi just so happens to have a crush on Mochida, because of course she does. In one of the bad endings, Ayumi could sabotage Naomi due to her being a rival of Mochida's, apparently appealing romantic love, and end up dooming all the cast members accidentally when she only wanted to hinder Naomi. Still stuck to me to this day, and I swear that I would never stoop so low. I see that referring to both having terrible taste in boys and sabotaging potential rivals. I 100% ship Ayumi and Yoshiki, but I think that's partially because I wish I had a Yoshiki in my life as someone who relates a bit too much to Ayumi's character. Maybe if Ayumi could only love who loves her, she could find some romantic happiness in life. That goes for me too. Skip to October of 2022. I need something scary to put me in a Halloween mood. Halloween's my favorite holiday by default, after all. Excuse to be creepy in myself. I had gotten reading glasses due to my green eyesight. When I got them, I remembered the random fun fact I read in the Course Party wiki that says Ayumi wears glasses in the manga. I knew what I had to do. I read the corresponding manga in October of last year, largely in part to do how I miss Ayumi and Yoshiki's relationship. I wanted to experience their character development again. I enjoyed it for the most part. The artwork was dark and haunting, which is great for something as gruesome as Corpse Party. There's the issue of how the female cast was sexualized yet again, but that's an inevitability with the series, I guess. There are a handful of cute moments too. One that meant absolutely everything with me was the comedy skit between chapters where everyone in class was talking about how hot Naomi is, but Yoshiki was thinking to herself that Ayumi's prettier and that being flat-chested was a problem. As a flat-chested woman, at least currently speaking, I appreciate Yoshiki. I still yearn for a man like him in my life. I also appreciate how the manga was insistent on adding more romantic tension between Ayumi and Yoshiki than in the game. And the author notes at the end of the manga's run, it turns out that she's also an avid shipper of the two. She did her best to tell a story with familiar characters in a familiar situation with transpiring events that feel different enough to feel fresh again. I love that ideology. It made the final few chapters all the more touching when the survivors tried their best to cope with their new reality, now that they've seen countless things that you'd never let children or anyone with a heart for that matter see. And although I never went to Heavenly Host, I never anticipate on going there, especially on my own accord, I'll try my best to. And that's where my obsession with wearing pigtails originates from. And now I'm wearing pigtails right now. Isn't that neat? If you're like Yoshiki, please marry me.